Yeah, man, you put on quite a show. So we're gonna dive right into it. Anthony Orozco, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm back in the gym after that electric win on Friday. Heck, it's Wednesday. I practice every day this
Right
week,
on,
so
right
keeping the
on.
momentum.
For sure. Sorry to interrupt there. Congratulations on that epic, spectacular debut. Let's dive right into it. How did it feel to have your pro debut in your hometown, of course, of San Diego on Cage Warriors, broadcasted worldwide on Fightpass? How did that feel?
It's one of the best feelings ever to actually satisfy the dub. Bringing everyone together and then putting on a show like I promised, and then getting that electric knockout. That just made everything so sweet. And yeah, it was just so good to debut on Cage Warriors. Everything about it was perfect. I don't have a complaint.
Yeah, it was it was a spectacular fight, and even like we'll get into the fight actually, but even your walk, or dare I say, it wasn't a walk, it was a run sprint to the cage was hilarious and very entertaining. High energy, holy moly, man! Let's break it down. Actually, let's start right from the beginning. Why did you run out like that? You had so much energy, and the crowd was going nuts. What was happening in your mind at that moment?
Dude, I had this vision before. I had so much pent up energy. I hadn't fought since February. I think it was 4.5 months. I
Okay.
hadn't fought since Worlds. And it took over. I told the guy that was in front of me with the camera, I said, "You better move," right when my song dropped. And then he was like, "What?" And I tell people my favorite memory from Friday was me starting to run and seeing the cameraman start to backpedal and run too. And he looked back and he was, oh, oh, it was so funny. It was one of the funniest things to see. So it was just fun. It was just pent up energy that I had to let out.
Right. And I mean, you had quite the audience there, man. I don't know how many people in that space were folks that were on your side, on your team, because the crowd was very, very engaged and very loud, especially throughout your match. Now, let's talk about your match. If you could break it down for us in detail, please.
Yeah, of course. I went out there and the canvas felt great under my feet. I was just so confident. I had really no worries. My coaches in the back were kept me so grounded and so confident. They were like, "Dude, you feel amazing. Like no one's practicing like you right now. No one's warming up like this." So I went out there confident as ever, and that's when I do damage. When my fights in my wrestling career, that's when I'm so good and on point. So I went out there. The goal was to touch him with the jab quite a bit and then keep my distance because he's known to kind of crash in, or at least from what we saw, he would crash in, right? So I was just gonna touch him with my jab, my long strikes. When the opportunity arose to take him down, I did. The takedown was crazy. He caught a teep, tried to push it up, and then I kept my balance, touched the cage, shot in for a double leg, and then got the slam. He looked for a guillotine. I obviously, like, I'm a wrestler, so I think most camps that fight against me are gonna look for guillotines and such, chokes off the shots. He didn't get it off. I slammed him quicker than he could, and then I got to work with the elbows. I might have some work to do with the elbows. I wasn't doing as much damage as I thought. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna let this guy up. Let's stand up. We're gonna bang. We're gonna put the crowd, the oohs and ahs in the crowd. So I stood him up, and then finished the fight on the feet.
Man, the eruption when you got him with that slam was epic. Like the crowd just went from loud to extremely loud, and even the commentary team was certainly electrified by that moment. And from there, yeah, you dominated all the way. I'm curious to know if there was one thing, and I think you've answered it already. You've seen the match. I'm sure you've watched it couple of times and so on. If there was one thing you would do different, actually, before we go there, what was the feedback from your coaches after the match?
Um, they really just said it was perfect. I remember my one coach, Alex Trinidad, saying that was perfect. That was perfect. I have, I have nothing, no critiques. But then towards the end of the night, he was like, "Oh, I see that you could have." I switched stances, so then I was southpaw at one point, and I do the snake charming with my hand. And Alex then said, dude, you had like that high kick you've been ripping. I wanted to see the high kick right there. I think it would have landed. So I think he would have liked to see the high kick from southpaw stance. But
and for yourself, in terms of looking back at the fight, as you said, you've seen it a couple of times. If there was one thing you would do differently, I think you mentioned the elbows. But beyond that, is there something else you would do different in the match?
I think honestly, I probably baked him the right amount of time. I rode him for like a minute and 30 seconds with ground control. And then when he stood up, he looked physically expensed. So I don't necessarily think I would change what I did. I think it was all around a perfect performance, man, to be honest. I think it was perfect.
Absolutely. I think people who've seen the match would certainly agree. You overwhelmed him and dominated him, and you were having fun. It seemed, and I mean, like the skill, the dichotomy between your level of skill and his, and he has more pro experience than you. But it didn't look like that. It looked like you came in there with a hell of a lot more fighting spirit and experience than him. No disrespect to your opponent. I'm speaking of Fattorusso is his last name. First name is Jeremy Fattorusso, yes, who put on a great defense at times. You know, he got out of your you were mount position twice. He scrambled out of there, but by the end, of course, your strikes were vicious and a lot of precision there. And the commentary team was really impressed. You know, speaking about your level of energy and pace and so on. You know, looking back at this match, I have to ask, of course, about your previous experience as an amateur, if you don't mind, because I think it's a very interesting backstory here. You've won gold at the 2022 IMAF Pan American Championships, and you placed 5th at the IMAF Worlds. How has your experience competing at these IMAF tournaments prepared you for your professional debut and career?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, the experience at those tournament style amateur tournaments are insane. I get 3 fights to 5 fights within 1 week. You know, I learned so much. I just get to try so many new things. Like if my arm triangle worked in this fight, I get to try my dash twos in the second fight. You know, like it's an amazing pipeline of experience at those IMMAF tournaments. It got me ready, and especially because there's such high stakes there and you're fighting the best in the world. If you're preparing for the best in the world, you're going to have a great camp. So just the caliber of competition just sparks a fire in me, at least. And I'm sure every other representative of their country. Come on, like who doesn't have the energy to fight for their country, you know? So
right.
Yeah, I think it's so important. It's so important. Like I want all of my amateurs that are in my room right now to fight to be on that IMMAF team, you know?
Oh, wow.
Because wow, it's just I shaped up so fast. I got so much high caliber competition that I wouldn't get in my backyard in San Diego, you know?
Right.
I got the best.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I basically got the best fighter from each I got to fight the best fighter from each continent. It's excellent.
Yeah, it certainly is. It is excellent. And just for folks who want to know, the 2023 IMAF Pan American Championships are being held in Bogota, Colombia on August 10th to the 13th, and you can watch them on imaf.tv. So you had a ton of fans there, man, and the camera panned out to the crowd. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was hyped up. Let's talk about some of the feedback you got from friends, family, and fans. What were they telling you?
Oh man,
because I follow you on social media and I saw all these stories. I saw all this content. I even saw some. I think Joe Rogan now follows you on Instagram, so your Instagram count has gone up. You're famous now, brother.
Yeah, dude, that blew my mind. I normally let whoever's around me sleep in, right? But when I saw that Joe Rogan followed me, I woke my girlfriend up so fast. I've never cared less. So I was like, look at this. And she woke up and she started screaming too. And I was like,
wow.
Yes. I was like, you're a keeper. You're just as excited as I am.
That's awesome.
So my girlfriend's a keeper, you know, she was excited. But the feedback, man, everyone just said it was electric. Everyone said it was awesome. They put on a show. Cage Warriors even said it was amazing. They want me to come back right away.
Oh
They are
wow.
not gonna they're not gonna miss me on the next five. They don't want to miss me on the next five.
Okay, so when is your next fight?
My next fight's likely gonna be September 8th in Sequan Casino with Cage Warriors.
Okay, very interesting. Now, what advice would you give to any amateur MMA fighter in the U.S. looking to gain that international experience that you gained in competing for IMMAF? Pardon me.
Yeah, some advice for them. Um, First, I think at your local scene, you really got to show out and you really got to push to get those finishes. I was 4-0 with 4 finishes going into the IMMAF Pan Am's tournament. You have to push to get those finishes in order to be a representative. You got to be the best. So work as hard as you can for those finishes. And I mean, yeah, just work for those finishes. Be the best representative for the U.S. If you're not, try to live a championship lifestyle, make your diet right, do everything as right as possible, and all those choices, you'll accumulate and become a champion, and you'll become the representative, or you'll become what you want to be. You just live like a champion, in all facets.
For sure. And I want to go back to, I noticed that in the lead up to your fight, you had produced a lot of content kind of documenting your journey. I follow you like on Instagram, but I believe you're also on TikTok and other platforms and so on. And I found that really, great content, very engaging, and you're quite good at it. What motivated you to produce that sort of content and bring the fans into that experience and the storytelling you were producing?
Yeah, so I had asked for a while my friends' opinions on what kind of content would they like to see, and a lot of them just said they want behind the scenes stuff. And I don't necessarily have the funds to pay someone to follow me around like an embedded style, but
Right.
I can record some things that I do, and I can at the end of the day stitch those all together and explain what I did today and let them know a little bit of insight of what I did. My mom was like, dude, I didn't even know you did all that. Or it's just like really nice to see the things that you see throughout the day. So that was motivation, really. I also came into a lot of free time. I think last time we spoke, I was at my auditing firm. And then on May 5th, I was actually let go
Oh wow.
because they failed split. So kind of just perfect timing, a month before my pro debut, I got to focus on fighting and I got to focus on expanding my skill set. I learned how to use this video editor, and I'm like posting on social media,
Yeah,
really
no.
trying to improve, because plan A is to become the UFC champion. Plan A is to become a champion in any promotion that I'm in. So these are the things that will get me there, I think. So that's what I'm focusing on.
I think it's always awesome to see athletes, take ownership of their stories and producing this sort of content, giving us that behind the scene look and just, you get to see their personality, and I think sponsors, when they see that this is obvious, that's the sort of content that kind of gives them an idea of who this individual is, why they fight, why they train and compete and so on. So I think it's awesome for your career, or you know what I'm saying? Because that's that sort of that additional touch, I think, for fans when they get to see that they connect with the fighter a bit more, if you know what I'm saying, because you get to see not just the spectacular fighting, but the life outside of fighting, the training and the challenges, of course, because I would imagine it's not easy. I saw one of the clips. You were talking about training because you train at more than one gym, and you were doing some judo training, and I'm a fan of that sport. If you could tell me about your experience doing some of that judo training and where exactly you trained and all that.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing question, and it leads into some like philosophical things I've been thinking about with martial arts, because nowadays when I'm clinching up with someone against the cage, since I became a pro, I can do 3 different things. I can throw a knee to the head. I can throw an elbow now. I can go for a guillotine, which is jujitsu, or I can go for an uchimata or a trip. It's it's just it's becoming so much more, and it's expanding somehow. The deeper I get into it, it's just expanding more. Like there's more potential here and there, you know. So it's really nice. I've been training judo at Legion American Jiu Jitsu. They bring Justin Flores every Monday and Thursday, and he's been amazing. He's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal coach, and he's got more experience than anyone his age. So, and he also blends jujitsu in with wrestling, in with judo. So, he's right up my alley. It's like a perfect skill set for fighting. But yeah, it's been really important for me to learn just something new and something fresh. And judo really excites you when you get that nice pop. You know,
Right.
It's satiating to do that. So it's been fun.
It's really cool to see, you know, you're expanding your, you know, so some people are ignorant in their approach. They only stick to one style, or you know what I mean? Like they're not open to continuously exploring and developing their game. And you know, I think it's a great addition that you're adding that to your game, because I follow him on Instagram. He coached the national team at the last Olympics, and I see a lot of his content. He was the head coach for the national U.S. judo team. I see a lot of his content as far as that intersectionality of, you know, judo and wrestling and jujitsu, and it's art, man. It's really entertaining, and it's very practical, and it's again, it's awesome that you know, you're expanding your arsenal with all that. Just a few more questions for you. In terms of your coaches and the vibe at the gym, what's the morale been like now that, you know, you've made your pro debut, you've made that big transition as an amateur who's made the podium internationally, now to a professional who's just made you know, this big shift. He debuted in his hometown. What's changed at the dojo, or at the gym, pardon me, and you know, in terms of your approach and the morale at the gym? Are you still the same person, or are you? Speak to us on that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think I definitely don't act different, but what I am is more confident. There's strikers that are notoriously like the best strikers in our gym, and now I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I kind of held back sometimes because I wasn't supposed to win these matches or these sparring sessions. You don't win, but like, I mean, you spar well or you don't spar well, right? And I felt like I might have not tried my hardest sometimes, but now it's like, all right, I am on the same level, if not maybe a little less, but I'm a worthy training opponent, and you are too. So we're just gonna build on each other. And now it's like we're really just bouncing ideas off each other and creating systems, creating our game. Since I won, I feel closer to my coaches because they did give me such support in the back room and stuff. And now it's like just more conversations. I feel like we're having more conversations about certain moves and just building things, you know, like building systems. That's what I'd say. It's yeah.
Right on. Well, I have one last question for you. In terms of you know, you said your next fight is in September. Between now and September, what are you going to be focusing on, and what sort of content on the content side? What sort of content can we expect to see on your social media accounts?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start for as far as the martial arts side. What I'm gonna be trying to do is a little more jujitsu because I let that go a little bit. And actually, I do have, from the conversation we had earlier, there was one little regret. It was me not feeling comfortable when I was in that high mount to go for the armbar. If you can remember, he was kind of pushing off with his two hands, and I wasn't comfortable going for the armbar. I'm really happy I didn't go for it when I didn't feel comfortable with it. I would have just liked to be comfortable, you know? So I'm going to focus on a little bit of jujitsu. I have a combat jujitsu tournament in July.
Oh, wow. Okay.
July 22nd. So I'm going to try that new art form. We're going to have another one in the books, which is dope. And that's about 50 days out from Cage Warriors. So I'm going to do some jiu-jitsu, a little bit of tournament, combat jiu-jitsu tournament, and then Cage Warriors September.
Right on, man.
And,
I want. Sorry, go ahead.
and then for the content, I mean, I really want to make a little bit. I don't know if you saw my one cutting weight video pop off. That one
Yep.
popped off. I got like 8,000 likes. I've never ever had a TikTok or a reel that went that viral. But what that tells me is they just like a little more educationalness woven into the letting them inside to the back, like behind the scenes. So I'm gonna try and be a little more educational with my content, and also pour a little more energy into each video rather than post every day, you know?
Right.
Because I posted every day a video for 10 days, and that was exhausting. And I could tell like the quality kind of fell down. So now I'm like, I have the skill, I have the ability to do it, but now let's just make high quality, good content, you know?
Absolutely, man. And you should. You have a great personality and so on. And I don't know if you're looking for sponsors or whatnot, but you know what I mean. Like it's a great way to generate that revenue, and so on to support that content development side of things. But I'll be watching more of this content and looking forward to it. More importantly, I'm looking forward to your next fight. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much as well. It was a pleasure to be on the second time. Hope we get so many more in, man.
Oh, and one last thing. At the end of your match, you looked like you could have gone and fought a whole tournament, a whole jiu-jitsu tournament, a wrestling tournament. You know what I'm saying? You had all this energy. I'm like, this guy, man, you weren't even tired. It was hilarious. I'm like,
dude, I wish it was tournament style, man. I would have gone the next day, Saturday morning. What's up?
you looked like you were still, you were still in the zone. Even your run to the ring. I don't know if you're an old school pro wrestling fan. Do you remember the Ultimate Warrior? Remember back in the day, he would run to the ring. And when you came out, I was like, oh shit! Like the clip was excellent, man. It's like as a promotional clip sort of thing, like that. Yeah, man. All the best. I'm obviously a fan of yours, and I am looking forward to your next match. So keep training and keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.